Greetings, fellow Salt-Incessors, and welcome to another video on solo RPGs. Today I want to talk to you about a game I found in France called Les Souvenirs du Protecteur. And before you go away because you don't read French, I want to stop you right there and say that I am covering this on this quite English channel because Critical Kit from the UK is about to release an English version of this game. Based on their website, it's going to come out in August. So I figured that it would be worthwhile covering, and I mean, I don't know for sure, but I suspect that the production from Critical Kit will be very close to the one from the French publisher, which is Les Fondations de l'Imaginaire. So I figured that showing you not just the mechanic, but also the physical product could be of interest to you. I will put the link to both publishers' websites, so you can go check it out, should you wish to. But yeah, so basically my plan for this video is for me to show you how the game goes. I'll translate some text as we go so I can explain the mechanics, and hopefully you will still find this great. And I want to say, oh, by the way, I'm sorry for not having been around much making videos. Work has been very busy, life has been busy, I've barely had time to play and even less time to make videos about playing. So I recently went on a family vacation in France and Germany, which of course gave me more time to play. So I did play a different game that I'll cover later. It was a playtesting copy, so I'm waiting for the final version to be ready before I discuss it here. It's not top secret or anything, but it's just it has so much potential. I really want to talk about it once it's completed. But of course, I'm always on the lookout for some games. When I was in, well, that was in Nimes, I think. Anyway, in France, I went to a board game store because I needed Exploding Kittens because I got children. Anyway, so I went and got Exploding Kittens, but they had a RPG section, which I was, of course, very drawn to. And to my great surprise, they had printed solo games, which I think I've discussed before. Like, finding a solo RPG in a physical store is rare, quite rare. And in this case, they had several. And then I was introduced to Les Fondations de l'Imaginaire, which is the publishing house, who literally specializes in solo RPGs, and indie ones at that. So this is sort of their full catalog right now. So they had quite a few, and that also got my attention, that I have played and enjoyed, including Ronin, How to Be Like a Crow, How to Be Like a Cat, Midnight Melody from Copacli I really liked. And then there was this one, which was a bit bigger, a bit more expensive, but I was very much drawn to. First of all, it is a Brazilian designer. Now, I don't know this, but I have heard. I don't know this because I don't actually speak Portuguese or any of the native languages to Brazil. I'm assuming there's more than one of those. But my understanding is that the Brazilian RPG and solo RPG scene is actually very, very strong. And we can know that because a few designers such as Cesar Copacli have come out with some amazing games that have been published in English. This one is by Enzo Salviato, originally neither in French nor English, was picked up and translated by Les Fondations de l'Imaginaire, and again now is being translated to English by Critical Kit, which is UK. So I was drawn to this, first of all, again, like I've always, again, my exposure to Copacli. I believe actually Thiago is also Brazilian from Ronin. I don't think I've covered Ronin. Ronin is strong also. And it was kind of reskinned to Notorious, which is a bit of a Mandalorian themed. Both solo designs, super strong designs. So anyway, so there was this solo exploration. It's also exploration driven, which, as you know, is a thing I really enjoyed. And it says like to start and regain the feeling of exploration and adventure video games. It's sort of the intro here. Anyway, I was drawn to it. The cover was pretty. It was Brazilian. It was new. Let's go for it. I'm on vacation. So, my souvenir from France. Les Souvenirs du Protecteur, the Protector's Memories. So, the intro to this. Your destiny. You are a protector. You are part of I'll say dynasty, a line, I guess, of a single individual. When one of you dies, another one is born. Always in the same tower in the center of the world. This tower is called the pit. Not the pit like a pit in the ground, like the pit of a fruit, like the Yeah, okay, so I was going to say the noyau. That helps no one who does not speak French. Anyway, so yeah, like a fruit pit, like a peach pit or something. So the center of something. So this already had me a little bit too, because it made me think, I don't know, something between Avatar and Last Airbender and Doctor Who or something. Like, you know, like you kind of evolve or is reborn, unbroken line. Anyway. So the protectors exist for a single thing. They take care of the world and its memories. They protect it by helping its creatures and its people in writing their stories and collecting their memories. It is a duty common to all protectors that have come and will be coming. Every time that one of them, wherever they are in the world, become unable to pursue their mission, their memories return to the tower in order to ensure that everything that they have lived, seen, and heard is passed down to their successors. But something happened. When you wake up, you are in the tower, it is dark, it is dusty, it seems forgotten. Your memories are distant and confused. It seems that centuries have passed, potentially thousands of years, since anyone has been in this room. And in the middle of this forgotten, abandoned place, you find a small journal that is damaged and dirty. It's very hard to read what is written on the pages, but towards the end of the notebook, you read, "Should there ever be another protector after me, please forgive me. I was unable to accomplish my mission, and I do not believe that I will be able to leave a heritage. I ask the one who will come after me, should there be one, to take care of this world and its creature in a way that I was unable to." And then this makes you wonder even more what has happened. So it's clear that your mission is going to be even harder than your predecessors. You have to protect the world and its history, but you need to travel through the world, and you know nothing about the world now because the memory chain was broken, the world has changed in a way that you can't really foresee. So there begins your adventure. So good luck, explore the world. So the first thing I want to show you in exploring the game mechanic. So anyway, so if you haven't gotten that, like a lot of the game's feels is actually in exploration and in many ways crafting. So if you want a comparative feel, not for mechanics, just for sort of where the fun of the game is, a bit of Colossal, because a lot of it is into the discovery of the world. So I'm not going to show you everything this book has to do because some of it, it's really fun to build it as you go, in my opinion. I really enjoy that. But I'll show you how it kind of all intertwines. But yeah, so basically, so this is an exploration game. That said, your character does have some stats, so it's not a soul journaling situation. You have 3 main stats. We have soul, which is roughly your health points. This is what it's used for. Once you have no soul, you die. You have courage, which is the stats you use to roll tests. Anything that requires, that's hard, I guess, to do, like fighting, foraging. What else do we do in this game? Anyway, anytime you need to check something, if something happens, a courage test. And so that stats establish how good you are in general terms. And then there's endurance, which tells you how much you can carry, how many spells you can learn, and how much you can do in a day. And that matters a lot because this game requires you to eat. So there's a bit of you need to find food to be able to live. But if you can do 3 things in a day before you have to eat, it's a lot easier than if you can only do 2 days before you have to eat, kind of thing. So that's the endurance stats. In addition to that, we have 3 other things we really need to keep track of. Well, there's a few side things also, but again, these are discover as you go. But the main points, honor. Honor is something you gain when you accomplish quests, help people do things. It's also the stats you can trade to improve your base stats through certain ways in the game. Very useful. It's also something you need to be able to enter ruins, to regain memories. And you can lose it if you basically fight things, living things. Because you're the protector of the world, you're supposed to save everyone. You are allowed to fight creatures that attack you, but you will lose a point of honor no matter what. However, if you do defeat them, you can search them. You can therefore gain items that way. That's not the way that I played. I basically did not kill anything my entire game because figure protector feels. So it is thematically appropriate. So honor lets you to move forward. Some creature will not interact with you if your honor is negative, because it can be negative. So there's some people, like you can't form a friendship, you can't get a pet, that sort of thing. Inspiration is something that actually the player attributes themselves whenever you feel literally quite inspired. It's used to learn spells and cast spells. We'll talk about magic in a little bit. And then there's coins, which is money. Pretty simple. You have your name. You choose one of 3 classes: warrior, pèlerin, wow, pilgrim, very simple actually, and a bard. And then each come with an initial item with a special power. You can award it here. Here's just a little cheat sheet, I guess, for when you explore. I'll show you how that works. But whenever this game, actually I'll show you now. This game is played on an X map. There we go. So you start here. So first thing you'll do is travel to a blank X. So then you roll the die. The roll you have, 1 shows you which biome you're going to encounter first. So in this case, it would be 1, the Forest of Shadows. And it says go to page 17 to find more about the Forest of Shadow. So I'll show you the biomes in a little bit. But for example, oops, where's my Forest of Shadows? Here it is. So that would be the Forest of Shadows, and you get all the details. But we'll come back to that. So we choose who we are. So each of the 3 classes come with presets attributes. So some are stronger in courage. For example, the warrior. The power of the swords is whenever you want, you can escape a battle without having to do a courage test. So again, in this game, some things and people will attack you, no matter what. And so you have the choice of fighting them, potentially gaining things but losing honor, or you can try to run away. To run away, you'll do a courage test. I'll talk about it in a sec. No matter what, you escape, but if you fail, you take damage. So there's that. So that's the power of the sword. It basically lets you not fight, which is kind of a funny power for a warrior. The pilgrim has a walking stick, so he only needs to eat 1 time a day at the end of each night. Which is, again, I didn't think that was interesting, but then I played the game and realized how food can be harsh in the beginning because I played with a bard, whatever, I like bards. But I figure he has got lots of health, his courage is fairly good, and endurance seems like a boring stats. Again, though, that only means I can do 2 things per day, 2 things per night, which means I need to eat a lot. It got complicated. But the power of my musical instrument is that when I reach a village the first time, I can play a song, roll a die, and gain the amount times 10 in money, which I guess that was not a very good song. Anyway, so that's sort of how we start. Courage tests, again, is basically how you resolve most encounters. Roll a die. It's a roll equal or under. So basically, my courage of 3, if I roll a 5, no bueno, I failed. And there's usually explanation of what happens when you pass or fail a test. Well, when you pass, you do the thing. If you fail, usually you end up taking damage. But for example, if you're trying to forage, it's just that you don't find anything. We talked about this. Inventory. I guess I didn't talk much about the inventory, but inventory, again, your space is 6 times your max endurance. So it would be, if you have 2 endurance, it'd be 12 slots. That seems like a lot. It's not, because there's a lot of gathering in this game. Again, it's a lot of go to a biome, find something, bring it somewhere else, find some other items, put them together, forge them into a potion or an item or something. There's a lot to find, or like, you harvest something off someone that turns out to be something else's favorite food. Once you give them their favorite food, you get a benefit. But again, none of them are in the same biome. So there's a lot of interconnectedness in the items that you find. So that's how that goes. So inventory, money, of course, it's used in villages to trade for things. You can also sell some of the things you find for money. I'll explain the biomes in a minute, because that's a lot of what comes after this. The clock matters. Again, basically, this is the clock. Your endurance splits both half in as many as you have. So if your endurance is 2, cut it in half. Every time you travel to a biome, you have to cross out a bit. And it's very cool the way it's structured, because in many cases, like the time of day matters in where you are. So, for example, if you're in a desert during the day, you might take damage because it's hot, right? some people sleep at night, so you can't interact with them. So if you walk into certain places at night, like you have to wait till morning before you can interact with certain things. So time is thematically important, but it is also mechanically important, because whenever you cross between day and night, you have to eat. You start with a bit of food, but the rest you have to forage or cook or something. Again, with my bard of 2 androids, this got tight really fast in the beginning of the game, so I played with some alternate roles. I'll explain in a bit. But it is a very cool mechanic, and I do enjoy having to, like, it actually makes the encounter more fun when you take into account the time of day. So definitely think it's very cool. So that's that. Eating. So mining and foraging, again, what usually happens is in any given biome, I'll take the Forest of Shadow because it's what I'll show you, but they give you the things you can find them. What you can do is once per X, so you can't keep harvesting the place, you have to move to keep doing it. You can either do a courage test, so again you roll 5, I would have failed, but if my courage is 3 and I roll under, which may one day happen, or equal to, like this, I'm able to forage. So then I would roll on this table to see what I find. So 2 is 2 roots, but it could be 2 woods, 3 leaves, 2 fruits, anything you want, a torch. Now some of these things you can just eat, like fruit could just be food, but when food has a specific name, it usually means it can be used to turn it into something else. So that's important. Throughout the game, you can find items. For example, for the Forest of Shadows, it's an axe. Once you have an axe, instead of basically you rolling randomly on this, you can actually choose the thing you're going to find. And also you don't have to roll for it. So basically, it's not possible to fail at harvesting the thing you want if you have an axe. To get an axe, you either need to find it through a reward or something, buy it in a store, or forge it yourself through finding items that lets you build it. So there's a lot of finding items that let you make a tool that helps you get other items, that lets you fulfill mission, that sort of thing. So violence we talked about a bit, which is, costs you honor, but you can find things that they've dropped. Again, I didn't really experience that myself, so just pass on. And then there's magic. So you can have up to 6 spells, because every biomes that you learn a specific spell. So do I do this now? Yeah, okay, I'll explain a little bit. So, for example, say we're starting the game here. I am in my tower in the middle of the world. I move to a blank X. First thing you do, roll a die. Say I roll a 1, which is the Forest of Shadows. So then the first thing you do is you go to the Forest of Shadows. So, fun fact, they actually have a little QR code here. That's actually a list to a playlist that plays music that is thematic to the biome you're in. So every biome of the 6 biome of this game, you get a different playlist. It's actually kind of fun. I enjoyed it. It does spark a little bit of imagination, puts you in a mood. So, like, not necessary, but super fun. So you can scan that. You get a descriptor of what the place is like. Then they tell you that this biome takes 3 X's. So you can draw them however you want. They just have to be adjacent. So you would draw the boundaries of the forest. Then they tell you how to learn a spell. So the magic of this biome must answer the following question. How do you live your friendship with the night? How does darkness shelter other emotions than fear? So if you want to learn this spell, you'd spend 5 inspiration points. And then you would sort of meditate on it and come up with what is basically a verb, pronoun, noun formula. So in this case of, how does darkness shelter things other than fear? It could be darkness, it could be it protects many secrets, for example. So that would be your sentence. And so now if you are trying to do something, or you roll a die for any reason, it could be for a biome, it could be for a courage test. I used it all for courage test myself. What this lets you do is modify your dice roll by 1. Which is kind of important because, again, like if you have a courage of 3 and to succeed you need 1, 2, or 3, well, with that power, it means 4. If you roll a 4, now you can use magic to make that a success. So it's actually very helpful. So learning the spell costs you 5 inspiration points. Casting the spell costs you 1. So you do need to keep being, you do need to find those inspiration points to use them. But I mean, I said they're not hard to find. You decide when you get them. But honestly, I found it very intuitive when I did get them or not, because there's moments in the story of the game that you legitimately get excited about. Like you read something like, oh my God, that's so cool. Or the story takes a turn and you're like, that's so cool. So that's how you get your inspiration points. So it's very cute. So that's how you learn the magic of the biome. So you can learn up to 6 spells. And again, you have to make the spell fit the situation, right? So in my case, there was a situation where I was trying to climb a flying whale. I got to land. My courage test was poor. But then I had find a spell that was basically inspired the soul, I think I had said. So I described about how like the sun was hitting the whale, so the light was like kind of emerging from it. And I was so inspired that it gave me the extra strength to climb it, for example. So it's a bit of a narrative spell. I still dock my inspiration point for using it, and then you can move on. So, magic, done. Now you find an X, a series of X. You've defined that this is the Forest of Shadow. Every X gets an encounter. So again, you would roll 1. Anyway, I won't do 1, actually, I'll cheat. I'll go to 2 or 3 because I want to show you this. So you arrive in a Bruja village. So to know more about Brujas, go to 18. So they describe sort of their civilization, their ways. And to do a village, you go to page 43. Page 43 is village creation, and I love this. So basically what happens is when you reach a village, you draw 5 cards. And then you do what they say. So if you drew an ace, which I did, here, red ace, cool. Red ace is a oratoire, which of course I'm blanking on how to translate. I'll say a temple. And because I drew a red card, it is a permanent oratoire and not a temporary one. So we go here and they describe basically this is a sacred site. And what you can do here is trade 5 honor point in addition to increasing your attribute. Of course, no attribute can exceed 5 points, so you can increase your max attribute, which is very cool. So this is a great find for a first village. You can also, I don't know, I didn't do it here, but basically they also explain if you draw 2 cards of the same number, you can decide if it's 2 different things or if it's a bigger one or something like that. But in this case, I'll just go chronologically to explain what the different buildings do. So we have the temples that lets you basically level up. We have the potion shop. If it's a big one, you would roll a die, and that's the potion they do not carry. So you never find a potion shop that carries everything, but they would have everything else in the big one. In this case, you only get 3. You get 3 potions that they sell if it's a small one. And then depending whether it's a Bruja or a Cucurbitous village, you would get different sets of potions. So in potion shops, obviously, you can buy potions. So you could have something like a potion of teleportation. Once you drink it, it puts the individual into the wind, and it puts you into any X that you have already traveled to. So that's what it does. This is the price, 500 gold pieces. The ingredients is 1 mushroom, 1 soul mushroom, and 1 water. So cool thing with all the shop, if you have the ingredients to make the thing, you can make it for free. So if you are in a potion shop, they sell a specific potion and you have the ingredients for it. Instead of buying it, you can craft it. So every potions and everything has different components. Equipment shops work very much the same way. They don't always carry everything. The Bruja ones have different ones than Cucurbitous ones. You can buy them or craft them. They do all sorts of useful things, like we talked about. I think we talked about the axe that lets you harvest more efficiently in a forest of shadows. Well, obviously, there's also a pickaxe for the desert. There are things that help you with encounters. For example, a sword lets you escape battles without having to do a courage test. Every item has a number of uses, so it's not like you buy them and they're done. You have to use them for a specific purpose and for a specific amount of time. So it's that. Clothing shops also lets you buy different things. They always carry 2, I think. No, sometimes they carry 1 or 2 items. Once you have a full set of something, you get a special power. So if you're fully dressed as a Bruja, for example, and you're wearing it, you can create potions whenever you have ingredients. So you don't have to be in a potion shop. So the minute you find your soul mushroom and your water, you can craft that potion right away. So it's cool because it allows you to not travel all the time, because again, travel takes food and time, etc. The cucurbitacea one doubles the quantity of object you find when you are extracting minerals. So that's what they do. Then we have the restaurant, I guess we'll call it, a tavern. This is food. Food does different, primarily giving you your attribute points back. Sometimes you have to cook also for specific missions and objectives, but there's a lot to do here. Again, you have the option of buying it or cooking it yourself if you have it. The cartograph office, I found one, I didn't really use it, but it is helpful in a way that if you really need a specific biome, you can pay money to get a map that takes you to something you're looking for. Because again, different biomes offer different encounters and different gathering opportunities. So sometimes you really need an ingredient and it's only found there, so you're really hoping to be able to get it in order to move something forward. We have the inn. There's smalls and big. The small one lets you recover every point of a given attribute. The big one lets you recover fully on all your attributes, and they let you store things, which is cool because you end up with a pretty heavy inventory. And again, you're capped at your endurance times 6. But there's a lot of things you gather because you need this for that. You need this tool to be able to harvest this thing. But when you're done harvesting it, you could store the tool here until next time you need it, so you free your inventory. So it's a useful building in many ways. Favorite, in my opinion, is the agency, quest agency. So this is where when you find it, the big one have 4 quests available, the small ones have 2 quests available. And basically what you do is you roll on this D66 table. So we go 32. 32 is find a ghost village. And the reward you get from that is the village become habitable. So when you create the village, it's possible that it's abandoned. So it's got buildings, but you can't interact with them. So what this mission would do is once you find one, you can bring it back to life and then you can actually create it. So it's very cool. But it could be something like bring 3 different minerals, and then the reward in this case is random. So you would roll on this table to figure out what you get, which could be, it's always usually a combination of honor and money. But if you get a 6, you can choose any object in the game, which is very cool because sometimes you really want a specific tool, but either it hasn't shown up in shops or, well, actually that's usually the thing, it hasn't shown up in any shops yet. So you can just basically obtain it that way. So I think that's how I got my sword actually. Anyway, so that's missions. And the last one is a train station, which is very helpful because it allows you to link villages together. Sometimes they're abandoned, so you have to bring them back to life. But generally speaking, it basically lets you travel without eating, which is good because again, you can have a village on one corner of the map and then a village in a different corner of the map. And, it will take you a lot of food to travel from A to B, but you have to go here to go to the biome that you found to get the thing you need to fulfill the quest over here. So it makes travel easier. So it's very neat. There's also tables for when you meet travelers and people in the game. So in many cases, you meet the lonely travelers. So saying you can use this to define them. So you roll dice to figure out their species. Then you draw a card to see their age, their personalities, and then you can have adventure hooks, basically. So they could just be a conversation, or if you want, you can actually turn them into proper quests. So it's another way to sort of generate direction in this very sandboxy game. Finally, there is a table here to help you generate conversation. There's a yes-no oracle, ranging from no and to yes and. We have tone. Which is basically like, are they, is this a question? Are they lying to you? Are you remembering something? The subject is about different people, places, that sort of thing. So it's basically how to generate conversation with NPC when you're sort of playing both sides of the convo. And of course, something I always love, which is a name table, sorry. So basically, if you meet a Bruja, you roll on this table and then you get a name for them. Very helpful, in my opinion. And then, of course, the main thread of this game is to regain some memories and figure out what happened to your predecessor. And this happens when you find a ruin. So you can find a ruin in some villages. You also come across them in certain biomes. To get into a ruin, you need at least one torch or one honor point, because it's very dark and scary in there. I don't really want to tell you what happens once you go in, because that's sort of part of the discovery of the game, is solving the mystery of what happened to the world. But I'll tell you this. You need at least, when you go into ruins, you have a good chance of gaining a memory from the past. You weren't sure if it's, a spot-on memory, if, how reliable the memory is, but you get one. Once you have 3, you can go back to your tower and then test them and then figure out what happened. And then figure out what the world was. Once you conclude this, you don't have to stop playing. Obviously, you can keep playing because you're still protecting the world and everything. So that's what I did. Like, I solved this part of the game, and then I just kept on interacting, fulfilling quests, dealing with inhabitants. There is a lot of game in this. Like, many hours can be played on this. Many. Because again, like, it's just in between the quests, like the amount of encounters, I've played this for hours. Like, I was on a 7-hour flight. I've been on train. I've been on, like, it's just, there's many encounters. There's so many possibilities. It's very sandboxy. The worlds are interesting. The biomes are different. The way everything interacts with one another is fascinating. There's also some variant rules to make the game a little bit faster, perhaps, or more predictable, a little easier. One I did play with, I'll own. I played with ignoring hunger, at least for the first half of my game. Again, I had a bard. I could do 2 things before finding food. Food got really scarce. Like, it's too complicated because foraging was not working out with the biomes I'd found in the beginning. So I'm like, okay, I'll ignore hunger for now. So I basically ignore it until I solve I solved the mystery of my past. And then I reintroduced it to add a bit more challenge to the game, because at that point I was a stronger protector anyway. And it does add a bit more tension, I'll grant. Like, it's especially around traveling and not wasting time and being a bit more efficient. I don't find I needed that pressure when I had the ruins, because I still had this objective and that sort of pressing desire to find out what's happening. So I'm looking for those ruins. Once that sort of thing is gone, then I wanted the pressure of hunger and really planning and calculating a bit more. So it was good. You can have a death that is gentler, because usually you're born without anything and whatever. This one lets you be reborn closer to where you are. Plus, normally if you're reborn, you're in here without any objects or anything you had. In this easier death, you're born the closest X that's safe. And you have all your objects, but you only 1 soul point. So basically, it's a gentler death. We have starting with a village in your tower, which I didn't do. At one point I was getting eager to find a village because a lot of the cool things happen in village. Well, also I didn't read the whole biome, so I didn't know where the village would come up, right? Like, because I think the first biome I found was the gardens. And I try not to read everything that can happen in the garden. I just roll the dice and read what that counter is, again, because I find the discoveries fascinating. So at first I'm like, okay, now I found some really cool petals. I don't know what they're for. I'm hoping someone will want these, or I haven't found any potion shops, so I don't know if they get crafted into a thing. But I'm like, I'd like to eat something now, or I'd like to find a village or something. This got self-solving. I didn't need it. The other thing that there is the story mode, they call it, where the ruins are already on the map. You can still discover them, but this lets you guarantee you'll find them. I didn't run into any issues. I found ruins at a good pace for the pace of the game. Like, I didn't find that I couldn't progress the main story at a reasonable pace. Because again, like, you kind of want to get a little bit tougher, explore a bit, get some tools before you face the past and everything else. So I thought the pacing, again, though, it's random. So it may have been just for me, it was fine. Maybe some people have difficulties. So they created this map with pre-populated ruins you can visit, so that you guarantee you're able to move at least the main storyline forward. So those are the big things. There is also at the end, now I would caution, actually the game does, and I will repeat that caution here. It's where to find objects. So this game puts forward a big diversity of games, of people, of objects, of tools and ingredients. the discovery of this universe and how it works and comes together, and discovering that is one of the pleasure of the game. But sometimes it can be a little confusing. So for this version, there is a list here with where to find ingredients. So they did suggest don't abuse it, because you're gonna ruin your own discovery fun. But sometimes you're like, oh my god, like where do I find that thing? So if you hit that kind of a point, you can look at the thing here and it will tell you where it's found, what it's for, and some comments about it. So, you know, I did refer it, I think, once. Once I discovered a lot of the game, I looked at it more closely just to see like exactly what it said. It's actually very comprehensive. Yeah, so there's a lot to discover. The biomes include, again, I don't want to show them all to you just because it's so fun to find them. But we have the Forest of Shadows, the Flooded Plains, the Jungle of Mushroom, the, I don't know, Ocean, no, the Sea of Fields, I guess, the Silent Desert, and the Giant Gardens. And they each have a very different feel. Some of them, again, you shouldn't travel during the day. Some of them you get hit when you enter. Some of them you can't leave at night because you'll get lost. So they each have a very, very different feel, in addition, again, to their own playlist, their own structure, their own encounters. This game was so fun. Well, still is so fun. I don't think I'm done with it, though, again, I've clocked more hours on this than a lot of other games I've played lately. I really enjoy the discovery. I enjoy the interconnectedness of the world. I enjoy just the way the whole thing works. Like it's very great to discover. It's a fantastic universe that you can build. There's lots of direction with a lot of open options as well. Mechanics are simple, but they're enough that it's not just a journaling game. Like there's a bit of game in it. There's some stats. There's a chance of failure. Yeah, the Protector's Memories. Highly, highly recommend if you like exploration. I'm trying to see if I can draw a game parallel. Different theme, but for feel, like Stardew Valley, maybe. You know, from me, like you get this, you do that, you want to upgrade something to be able to do something else. And that feeling of improvement and discovery. And yeah, it's just an interaction also with the world, because they want you to interact with its inhabitant you're supposed to protect. Yeah, great game. Honestly, so recommend. So if you're not, I'd say French speaking, but French reading more relevantly, again, the English version will be coming. I'll put the link down below in the notes. And if any of that sounds interesting to you, I don't think you can go wrong with it, because it is just that good. And on that note, actually, I will thank Enzo Salviato once more for this wonderful creation, and I will wish you a very, very good day.